Hi everyone, this is possibly the last of Triple Cross Cinema Postcard of the year. I say possibly because we might do another one, but for now this is like the last one in our schedule for the year. And this one we turn back to 20 years back for a movement that I would say that was making some noise over the years. Like since then, it's the Dogme 95.
Since then, huh? Do you
Well,
by saying that do you mean that ever since it started in like the late 90s or the mid
yep.
90s whenever it was technically that the manifesto was written that
hmm
up until like the present day in 2023 that it's still influential? And as
I
far as
would
I
say,
understand it, only like 30 films or so have been created in accordance with all the rules, and
yep.
most of them were around the time period of the signing of the manifesto. Like it doesn't seem to me as though it had much life.
Yeah. I don't mean about the films themselves, but more about like it's still like hotly debated, hotly talked about even now. When they talk about Life von Trier's, for example, they talk about the Dogma 95 and what he did to that movement.
Well, what he
So
did was make one film.
I exactly right,
Only
like.
only one of his films qualifies technically.
And yeah, I think it's funny because even though that is document 95, so they make it in they make the manifesto back in 1995. It's 1998, so 3 years later, where they make the very first films. And as far as I know, that no directors have been making like more than one films. I might be wrong on this.
I think Vinterberg made more than one Dogma film, didn't he?
I don't think so. No, I'm pretty sure that Winterbird and Love Trier he didn't they didn't make any others. And
No.
even Winterbird, I think he famously said in one of his interview that all right, I just gonna say the whole thing. I have a paragraph here that he said, I think the documentary was inspiring for quite a few people and sort of started a digital movement. Personally, I found it extremely uplifting and fantastic making documentary movies, but I feel that I completed it with the celebration, the first film, the first film of the movement. I think that was the end of the road on documentary for me. It was as far as I could go. That's what he said.
Wow. Inspiring words. I did it one time and that was enough.
That was as far as I could go. That was actually pretty honest. But yep. So and I think between 1998, where the first movies was made, until 2004, there are only like 35 films been around until like they move on to do the new thing to make a new challenge.
A
So
new
it's
challenge.
yeah, so it's
What
more
would
like,
that be?
well, for Laventry he would make like a lot of other stuff like uh
Yeah,
uh
I know about like Antichrist and Melancholia and Nymphomaniac and all that, but
yep,
he's a man, not a film movement.
right, yep.
I mean, what is there some successor to
No,
this movement?
no.
Yeah, it just seems like
I just think that their their start goal or their end goal were basically just I try to break uh the Hollywood style like special effect driven films that they would like back to the root, to the basics, making all these movies. And so it's more like just a movement, basically a cry for like going back to normal, going back to the simple face.
yeah, and
uh,
I would definitely call these films normal.
Normal, you say, or abnormal?
I sarcastically said that I
Ah,
would definitely call these films normal.
yep. I understand what you mean.
I
So,
can't, I can't imagine that. I mean, these are the three films that we're going to talk about here,
yep,
which
yep,
anyone listening to this can see in the thumbnail of the video.
yep.
I can't imagine, even though they're the first three on the list of the 35 films that were ever completed in this style, uh,
Hmm.
they can't be like you know the the ones that are easiest for people to watch. They can't be the ambassadors for Dogma 95,
Right.
given their subject matter.
Yeah,
Well, I'm thinking of one in particular,
yeah. But
but
I
even
think
the
that
even the other two, or I mean, all of these films have sexual perversion
yep,
at
yep,
their core.
yep. And
Something was in the water in Denmark, I guess.
yeah, well, I would say that's like out of the 35 films, these three are like three of the most famous ones. There's a few, there are a few more famous along the line, but these three are the one that they still talking about the most. So maybe they are the representative of the Dogma 95. What do you think?
Uh, okay. Well, that's great
All
that
right.
their work is remembered.
Yeah. All right. So according to Wiki on Document 95, there only one director, Juan Pinchas, whom who's the only filmmaker to have submitted more than one film. So he submitted three films.
Was he submitted? Was he accepted?
I think he accepted as well because there's number in so he made the document number 22, 30, and 31. So yep, I think so.
Say those numbers again: 20, 32, and 31.
22, 30, 31
22, 30, and 31. Okay. So he was, man, if he did both 30 and 31, he was able to get two films made
in
in
a
a
row.
row before anybody else did one.
Yep.
This thing must have been dying. People must have been like, wow, great idea, Lars. Great idea, Thomas. But I'm just going to go ahead and make a movie like a normal person.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how many of these do you know off the top of your head? How many of these movies, because we watched the first three, and
Yep,
all of them had to do with like there was incest,
yep,
orgies.
yep.
How many of these films have to do with that shit?
Yeah, true. All right. So tell me how you feel about Dogman 95 in general, based on
I have no
what?
feelings.
All right, the style.
Oh, like the fact that they're handheld.
Yeah, I don't like it now. Let me tell you that. Like,
I'm not a big fan, but I watch a movie for 5 minutes and get accustomed to it.
yep,
I guess, unless it's like particularly bumpy or jarring.
yep,
And I don't think any of these films were so. I mean, it was more how like the digital grain
yep.
and the issues that they had when like in darkness when shooting
Yeah,
scenes without a lot of light because
they don't
it's one
have
of the
any
rules,
light.
right? You can't like
Yep,
move. You can't have an external light source, and you can't move.
yep,
You know, uh,
yep.
a
On
lamp or
the
anything. It's
on
just
the
so
limitations. Yep.
yeah. One of the
Yeah, I
rules is
agree.
you can't move a lamp, and you have to confess. Yeah, if
True.
you've broken any of the rules, you have to confess to it in order for the film to be accepted. I guess. I don't know. I thought, excuse me. I thought it was the digital handheld style. I got used to it. I don't really like it, but it was
Yep,
fine.
yep.
My problems with the films had more to do with
The
the
content.
films themselves,
Yep, yep.
the
All right.
script, and all
Let
that.
let's talk about this film in detail then. Let's let's start with the number one first. The very first film, The Celebration by or of Festen in Danish by Thomas Vinterberg.
Right.
All right,
Yeah, I thought this. Go
I
ahead.
I was about to say that I have a confession, but it's not really a confession.
Is it a
I
dogma confession?
I try to be like on that line, but it's not really a confession. I watched the celebration before, so that's why I this time I watch it last because I want to watch the other two films first and get back to this one. Um, what I found is actually this one is a lot funnier than I thought, especially towards the first half an hour.
The first half hour. Well, yeah. I mean, the first half hour is before the film really drops its bomb, its
True.
payload
Yep.
during the Christian's toast scene.
Yep. 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 Yep.
So it's like a little, it's like a little family farce. I would say you could probably characterize it that way for the entire film, but it becomes like pitch black once he reveals in the course of a seemingly normal toast
Yep.
that his father had molested both him and his daughter.
I think it's the
Or
two daughters, right? So I think it's the
no,
twins. It's only one. Wow.
it was Christian
Yep.
and Linda, the sister who committed suicide.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um, no, not both daughters. So Helga, or
Mm.
rather Helene, or would you just say Helen in Danish? I'm gonna
All
say
right.
Helen.
Is it?
Um, she wasn't. I don't think that she was abused by the father,
Yep.
not sexually anyway.
That's why she remains so calm, and then that's why she tried to defend the fathers.
Well, I mean, you can be a victim of someone like that and still try to defend them. There's like
Mhm.
Stockholm syndrome to
Mhm.
consider.
Mhm.
But it's true that she does try to like push away that reality
Mhm.
because she's the one who finds Linda's note.
Yep. Yep.
So the whole film is about a big birthday party, like a 60th birthday party for the father, like the patriarch
Mhm.
of this very rich, very white family.
Mhm.
And it is important that they're white because eventually Helen's boyfriend shows up and he's
Yep.
black, and the rest of the family, doesn't take very well to that.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so everybody's arrived, and as she arrives and explores her sister's old room where she, committed suicide in the bathroom, I didn't totally understand the process by which she found that note, the
Uh,
suicide note.
all right. It's based on the arrows. So yeah.
Right,
Some
and there's like a little fish drawn above the door
Yep.
and
So
everything.
I think it's just the markers and there's an arrow to show you where the direction to look for another markers, something like that. And then
Right.
it lit up to the lamp where she found the letters.
Okay. Yeah, I remember watching the scene and seeing very clearly, the mark above the door,
Yep.
and
Yep.
maybe I just didn't see some of the other marks that would
Yep.
lead to the lamp. Um, but she found it. So
I like the way she
good.
had it though. So she read the letters and then she do the she jump scare the other guy, and she just tried to say that it's blank. So she tried to just conceal the letters
Oh, from the receptionist.
from the receptionist. Yep,
Right.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, that
uh the whole part there's like the way the director doing during that part I really like. So there's a lot of uh, match cut between she reading the letters I think that and even a bit later on as well when she was taking a bath, and it match got to one of the Pia. Remember Pia? She taking a
Yeah,
oh
she's one of the maids, right? Or
yep.
what would you call her? I think she's a maid.
See the met. So she was Pia was taking the bath, the bath. Helene's were doing something else, and it's intercut with the youngest brothers who like, just followed up the
He fell down in the shower.
yeah, yep. So like the whole montage. I really like it.
I remember that the film cuts back and forth between like the three siblings,
Yep.
Christian, Michael, and Helen.
Yep.
And at one point, it follows a character for like a minute, moves to another sibling's room, or let's say 30 seconds, however long. But at
Hmm.
one point, there's a moment where Helen says "boo,"
Yep.
I
Yep.
think, to
Yep.
the receptionist, and then it cuts like rapidly between something falling in all three of the rooms,
That's right.
and
So
one of the objects that fell would be Michael, which you just described.
yep.
But also, I think in Christian's room, like a glass gets knocked off a table
Yep.
and falls to the
Uh,
ground.
I love that.
I
I
don't.
love that.
I wonder what was the purpose. I wonder
Oh,
of
hmm.
of arranging things that way. Like, what was the film trying to say by connecting all three of the siblings?
I think story wise, it just want to follow like the brothers and sister before the big night, but then again we didn't get hinted at only by Helen who read the letters about what coming in the events. We see Christian, he's a bit he's a bit too minded if he gonna say or not. So he looked a bit deep in thought. So that doesn't tell us much at that point. So
Right.
yeah, I think I like the way the writer do that. Is it really relevant to the story? Maybe not.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a reason why it would have been arranged that way.
All right.
But I don't know. It was fine. It wasn't difficult to follow or anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was, because the film was handheld, there was a bit of a hectic feeling to it.
Yep. Yep.
Camera's constantly moving; it's never fixed. And even putting the style aside, the very first scene where Christian is walking down the road and Michael,
Yep.
um, he like kicks his own wife and children out of the car
Oh,
in order to give
yeah, that's
Christian a
so.
ride,
Yep.
and the like how he yells at them and commands them to do it, and the way that he like grabs onto Christian when he first sees him and is like shaking him, and it's very hectic,
Yep.
um, which perhaps mirrors the sense of unease that Christian may feel returning to this house with the plan in mind that he has in mind.
Yep. Yep.
Michael even says to him, and this I thought was really strange.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps it's just a matter of translation,
Yeah.
but Michael says to him, "I'll fuck you." Do you
He
remember
said that.
this?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
All
when
right.
he first sees Christian on the side of the road, gets out of the car and like goes to embrace him or roughhouse with him, whatever it is he does exactly.
Yep.
He says, "I'll fuck you."
All right. Well, maybe that's how the greeting in that family. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's definitely a form of greeting in that family.
Damn. But yeah, I thought Michael, like even as an as he is, like during the whole films, uh, he served as a pretty good comic relief, especially towards like when he talked to the receptionist, and and he was like, who we are. uh you have to know who the people are to in order to like serve them better, and like be on top of your job. Now give me the best rooms. And then the receptionist just say, "You are Michael. You're not invited." I like that.
Well, I mean, it speaks to how unwanted he is, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And
But
it
he tried to make himself indispensable
Yep.
by checking up on everything and at first refusing to drink during the party.
Yep.
But of course, that goes out the window once Christian drops his payload
Hmm. Hmm.
and things start to get tense.
Yep. And he even have the fight with Helen's husband or boyfriend. I think it's her husband,
Hmm? Oh, it's her boyfriend,
boyfriend. All
isn't
right.
it?
Think so.
Because I think she,
I see. I think she.
introduces him that way, like to her mother
Yeah. Because
before they're married.
I think she got the ring in her fingers, but yeah, couldn't tell for sure if she married to him. I think his name is uh Batukai.
Kabatukai, yeah,
Yeah.
Kabatukai. I don't know how much emphasis you place on the G when you pronounce the name. I wasn't even going to attempt to say it,
Just
but since you brought it up, there it
yeah.
is.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wikipedia says he is indeed the boyfriend, not the husband.
Right.
So thanks to Wikipedia for clearing that up and for clearing up everything that I don't
Mhm.
understand, which was a lot. I don't think the subtitles were great for all three
Oh,
of
I
these
think
movies.
I have no problem with this subtitle on this one, the celebration. My
Yeah,
subtitle for Mifune was really bad.
yeah, they were good enough for me to watch,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think this film was the clearest of the three, which means probably that this film is the best loved. Um, Somebody bothered to make sure it was readable
Hmm. Hmm.
or a step above readable.
Yep.
But there are some parts of this film that I wish I hadn't been readable because obviously the thing that we've been tiptoeing around discussing, or I guess we've already said, that the father raped two of his children.
Yep. Yep.
Quickly takes over the film once Christian uh, reads the speech on the green card. I am kind of curious what was on the yellow card. Like, was the yellow card another? Was it a false choice? Was it the same thing written on both cards, and he just wanted like the irony of his father choosing, like
Well,
drawing lots, as one of the characters says?
yeah. Well, at first I thought that maybe the yellow card is just a simple like a
Like a normal
normal,
toast?
yeah, a normal toast.
Yeah.
But now I think about that, it's just might not be, it's just the same thing. It's just, like getting his father to choose, and then he just gonna go to throw that bomb anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it was some. My guess is that the even if the yellow card wasn't a duplicate of what was on the green card,
Yeah,
it would have
he
been
gonna say that.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
he gonna say that
he
anyway.
probably came to this party prepared
Yep,
to
yep.
take revenge, and there may even have been like the cook
Hmm.
or the chef. He had been expecting Christian to do this. I don't know if that means he had contacted him ahead of time and knew that this would be happening.
I don't think so. I
Um,
just think that he know about Christian trauma, and he was kind of expecting that Kristen gonna be rebel in some ways, and he know that this is it. I think his
right,
name is Kim.
Kim. Okay,
Yeah.
I see that now. Oh, look, the guy who played Kim, his name was uh, Bjarn, kind of similar to Bjark, or however. Man, some of these names I just can't say. I'm sorry. Kind of
Yep.
similar to the name of the younger brother in
Oh,
Mifune.
all right, all right, all right. Yep. I thought you was mentioning Bajorg in Vinland Saga
No,
or
Bjork or
Thornfield, yeah,
no, those films are their pronunciation at least is kind of, I don't know, romanized, so
yeah,
it's easy to say no matter what the language. Like if Japanese and English speaking people can pronounce a word in the same way,
yeah,
you know it's been like carefully designed so that everybody can say it.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But yeah, I mean, Kim does seem to know that this is coming or expect that it might happen. So when it does happen, he like launches into action.
yeah,
Like when Christian comes down to the kitchen to see him, he encourages him not to just leave.
yeah.
He encourages him to like stay and fight.
I
And
think,
he's ready to confiscate everybody's keys
yeah,
and lock somebody in the wine cellar.
yeah. I think I
You
love that
know,
about this film is that I think it really a spur of the moment for Christian to say all that, and then when he or even that he just want to say all that to to his father, and then he have like no plan to back up, so that's why he feel really like uncomfortable later on, and he was about to leave with like everyone expected him to be like the reception on his those words just everyone ignore what he said. So
yeah,
he was trying to he was trying to leave, and then Kim, who was telling him to just fight on,
right.
and yeah, I like that. And then he make the second toast, and then it's getting worse and worse, and then he just like going back for more.
Yeah, and he gets progressively drunker, as
Yep,
does I think probably everybody in the entire movie.
yep, true. Oh man, imagine that like you spend a normal dinner day like that, and you spend it must be like the whole day, a whole night, and I think there's like hotels, so like they gonna stay the night as well to stay until the next morning to have the breakfast before they go. So it's really it's exhausted just to think of all the things they have to go through, all the activities.
Well, I don't know how much sympathy I have for these people who may or may not be exhausted by the events of the day. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I think and this is something that I wonder about, like the way that the film ends.
Hmm.
It's all the guests, all the not only just the siblings and the mother, but all the guests having breakfast, and it's just the
Hmm.
father who is excluded.
Yep, yep,
Michael comes over and says, great speech, Dad, but you're gonna have to leave.
yep,
Um,
yep.
I was surprised by that because I thought the film was taking a more critical attitude towards not just the father, but
The
also all of
whole.
the guests
Yep, yep, yep,
who,
yep,
as you said, like gave
yep,
a very muted response to Christian's original accusation.
yep, yep.
There's the fact that they all sang along with the racist song,
Yep.
talking about how black people and Indians speak funny and
Hmm.
and look funny. Right when Helen's boyfriend is right there,
Hmm.
and Michael is the one who leads the song, like proposes that
Yep,
everybody sing it.
yep,
And the fact that everybody, in addition to that, the fact that everyone just calmly processes and then ignores what Christian has said because they don't want their fancy dinner to be interrupted, and they don't
mm,
want, the father, Helge, I guess his name is here online,
yep,
that
hmm,
he's like a symbol of their generational prosperity, like just their wealth and the fact that so much money is floating around in this family.
hmm,
They don't want him to be taken down because he kind of stands for what they all stand for, which is just,
yep,
I don't know, like you can have as many skeletons in your closet as you want, but if you're rich, then you're rich. Like that,
yep, yep,
you
yep,
got to
yep.
stick with the family because that's how you ride the gravy train.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I thought the film was
Yep.
especially when the racist song scene happened, I was like, okay, the film's making the point that all these people are guilty.
Yep.
They're all, responsible for the fact that there's so much, there's been so much pain and cruelty inflicted on the children. But at the end, they are all, eating together, and it's just the father who has to leave. I mean,
Yep.
before that, there is the scene where it's just Christian, Helen, her boyfriend, whose name I can't pronounce, unfortunately, and Pia. It's like just the four
I
of them downstairs at night after everyone's gone to bed, and they're like having a good time drinking and dancing and stuff. And I thought the film might end there, like where the only characters who are innocent of this sort of like greed
mhm,
um, would
mhm,
be
mhm.
seen celebrating together. But then at the end, it kind of goes back on that.
Yep. Yep.
I
Even
wasn't sure how to feel about that.
yep. Yep. I agree with you. Like now that you mentioned that, I think they simplify a bit to the ending. Then there also like a scene later on, like after the scene that you just mentioned, that Michael come to beat his father.
Oh yeah, yes.
Don't know how to feel about that scene. So well,
Well, I don't. In the case of that scene, I don't think that the film is like absolving Michael just because he's the one to take
yeah,
revenge, I guess, on the
yeah,
father physically.
yeah,
I think that's an issue that Michael has is like he struggles with anger, rage,
yeah,
because he does this. He does the same thing to his brother.
yeah,
He beats him in the little alleyway between a couple of
and
the
and
buildings there.
to his wife as well. I think like at the beginning
Yeah,
he tried to beat her up or something,
yeah,
and then
because
later on he
she
said
didn't pack
sorry.
his shoes, right? His black
Yep,
shoes, and he can't
yep,
wear brown shoes to dinner because then his father wouldn't acknowledge him or
yep,
something.
yep, yep,
Yeah, it's clear that he's like a little brother
yep.
type character. I can't actually remember the order of the siblings.
Oh, it's Kristen and then the twins and then him and then
The
Michael.
the girls were twins.
The girls are twin. They
Okay.
I think they specifically say that they are twin.
Hmm. Um. Yeah. Well, he definitely has like a little brother sort of inferiority complex.
Yep,
His whole role in the film is about the anger that he has surrounding that, and yeah, him beating up the dad. I was fine with it. I guess. I mean, I didn't really see it as an issue.
hmm,
Um, I definitely don't think that it makes him it fixes his issues.
yep,
Doesn't make him morally. It doesn't put him morally on the right after everything that he's done. In fact, he's engaging and still in like his worst behaviors
yep, yep.
when he assaults his dad like that.
Hmm.
I do just in general. I feel as though the film, it ran a little bit longer than I thought it was going to.
Right.
Not
Yep.
really in terms of runtime, just in terms of where the film decided to go at the end. Do you remember like what was the do you remember the final scene? Because I can't
Hmm.
exactly remember what it
Oh,
was.
all right. The final scene was that the father made the speech. Michael come to tell him that great speech, father. Now you have to leave so that others can have breakfast. And he says, "Oh yeah." He lift out the doors and it's cut to black.
Really? Okay, that was the
Yeah,
actually
that
last
was
shot is the
that
father
was
leaving and
yeah.
huh.
I
Okay.
think like there was like a reaction shot from Christian in regard to he leaving leaving out the table, but that's it. It literally the last scene.
Okay.
That's it. Yep.
Huh.
Oh, and the mother stays.
Yeah, and he accused her of like very graphically of having walked in one time while he was being raped by his
Yeah.
father and then she
She
just left.
just left the room. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another what the whole family I thought the film was being like you're all guilty. But the mother especially,
Yep.
I'm sure that she, in some way was under the thumb of the father.
yeah.
Um,
And she even like gave the speech to allude that Christian, always have a bipolar, or more like he have like an imaginative friend who like urge him to do these things, to say some bad things.
yeah, I like that scene. I really like the writing of her speech.
All right, yep,
The way that it began with her speaking affectionately of all her children, and then she zeroed in on Christian and told
yep,
a fun, childhood story of his imaginary friend Snoot.
yep.
And then when she, kind of turned the corner in the speech and began to accuse him of, of, I
Hmm.
don't know, falsifying all these memories.
Yep, 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 yep,
Um, and she said, I think Snoot has been with you today.
yep. You
I
can,
just, I thought that was a nice point in the script.
yep. You can just
I
stand up, leave Newt, on the chair. He not gonna reach you now, and you can say sorry to your father.
Yeah.
Wow, what a speech. Yeah, I
Yeah, it
agree with
was
you.
very like
I
I don't know, it was what's the word that I want to use? It's like very calculated on her part.
Yeah, yeah,
Like as her cuz her mind I'm sure was scrambled, and she was like just desperately trying to keep up with what was happening and maintain her position alongside her husband as the head of this very wealthy family.
hmm,
And so even while like things are falling to pieces in her mind, especially because she knows what Christian has said is true,
hmm,
she still manages to put together this very convincing sounding speech.
hmm.
Um, you know,
Yeah. I actually
but
cut.
and Christian, you can see, is kind of swayed by what she says, because it takes him. He sits in silence for a while, and it takes him a while before he actually stands as
Yeah,
she's asked him to.
I
And he
think.
like hesitates at first when he begins to respond, but then he does,
Yeah,
double down and accuses her of complicity.
yeah. I think he was like drinking nonstop as well. When he listened to her speech.
That's right. Yeah, he was throwing him back.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there were like close-ups on him multiple times throwing back
yeah,
wine.
yeah. I actually feel that even though that like this film and like all the other three films, the dialogue more like like improvisation, but this I really I kind of enjoy the dialogue here in the celebration.
I
uh
didn't feel that it was.
Loose. I feel it's loose. It's not like really highly constructed. Like this point, that point. It's more like they spur of the moment, kind of,
Well, the
tongue in
speech
cheek.
that we were the speech that we were
Oh,
just talking about on
yep,
the
yep,
part of
yep,
the mother. I mean, that was definitely carefully
yep,
scripted.
yep, yep, yep. That's true. Um, I actually feel like for all the characters, I actually Helen feel that Helen do most of the lifting for like the emotional, because she at first trying to come to get over her sister death. She found the letters. She found a secret. She tried to hide that as well, and she had to juggle between when her boyfriend come in, and later on where she was put into reading the letters written by her dead sister. I don't know how like how she was put into that spot, but like she did a really convincing performance.
Yeah. Yep. That's another moment where the film is like, you know, tightly controlled.
Yep, yep, yep. Great.
And the subtlety of the accusation from her sister towards their father,
Hmm.
when she says, "Father has had me again, at least in my dreams."
Yep, yep.
It's not anything so graphic as the
I
accusations that Christian makes,
Yep.
but it has more impact, it seems, because
Yep.
it comes from beyond the grave.
True.
Um, and the silence that falls over the room, and people's refusal to. What is it that the father asks
Oh, to pass
after
the
after? Yeah.
to
What is it?
to pass something so that he can have a toast with her.
Right.
Uh,
Like pass the wine or pass
yeah, something.
something or give
Yep,
give pour her a glass or something
right.
along those lines. Yeah. And after, after everything that Christian had said, if he had given if he had said, let's raise a toast or something, people might have
Yep,
um gone along, but
mhm,
not after what Helen has to say and what Linda had to say.
true. So,
You know what parts of this film reminded me of?
um, nope.
Triangle of Sadness.
Ha.
A whole bunch of
Uh,
really rich people
yep.
trying their best to carry on with their dinner,
All
even
right.
though things have obviously gone to shit.
Yep. Well, in that sense, triangle of sadness is more, like I think more successful of, like saying that this group of people are, like the rich, the unbearable. And here though, it's just the father who they pointed out, and not the other guests.
Well, I mean, the father is directly
Responsible.
responsible. He's directly culpable for the major crime,
Hmm.
of the film, and he's the only one who has to leave at the end. But
Yep.
I still, even though I wasn't quite sure about how the film handled its ending and the fact that it kind of took its boot off the neck of the entire family,
Yep.
I still think that they're all a bunch of monsters.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
not as though the film in the final scene said, "Okay, that's a great speech, Father, but you're going to have to leave. Oh, and by the way, we love everyone here except for you, and you're the scumbag, and the rest of us are little angels." It didn't uh, do
Yep.
anything quite so stupid as that.
Yep.
Um, but
Yep.
yeah, I was there were just a couple points where I was reminded of Triangle of Sadness, just
I agree.
the like the wealth, the amount of wealth and the amount of ignorance and self-centeredness in that room, and how it kind of had to battle against the reality of their crimes,
Hmm.
like the cognitive dissonance there. They had to, um, yeah,
All right.
it's just something I noted.
Yep. So, what is your verdict?
I thought the film was pretty good.
Yep, I agree. So, out of the three
I was,
films, I say I enjoyed this one the most.
yeah, it was probably the same for me.
Yep.
I think so. It, I wasn't, I was like following along for the first 30 minutes or so, or however
Hmm.
long it is before
Oh,
Christian gives his
wow.
speech. I was following along like,
Yep.
okay, let's see where this goes. Is it just gonna be like a farce about
Yep.
a dysfunctional family? Like the family from Arrested Development or something.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it was a lot more than that. So once Christian finally said what he came there to say,
Yep.
I became much more engrossed in the movie.
Yep. 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 Oh, I enjoyed the first 30 minutes of the movie as well. So yeah, it's a blast for me to watch.
A
Uh,
blast,
yep.
nice,
I'll watch it again. So I say.
right?
Uh, so yep. How do you feel about the idiots though? So now let's get to the idiots.
Oh, yeah. So I've got my Word doc here in front of me where I put my notes where I after watching a film, and even
Yep.
in some rare cases in the middle of watching a film, I'll open it up and jot something down.
Yep.
So I got my notes here. I got my notes for the celebration. I got my notes for Mifune. The only thing I wrote down for the idiots was the word why.
Why? Why?
Yeah, why
All
was this
right.
film made? Why was I made to watch it?
Yep. All
Why?
right. All right. I must say that's Love Curious. Very familiar with his films. I think I watched 75-80% of his filmography already. Um, All right. Back
Why?
back to the idiots. It's
Why would you do that?
about. All right. Let's just go. Let's just say that. All right. Let's just say about the plot. So it's about a bunch of people who try to be disabled, to be a handicap, so mentally disabled, in order
Right.
to provoke. So to answer you why, I think his main aims for the movie and for like its main theme for this film is to provoke, to try to do something that uh out of your conventional life and try to find meaning behind it.
Do you think he found meaning?
No, I don't think any of them find any meaning behind it. It even
No, I'm saying, do you think that the person who made this film
find any
found any
meaning.
meaning?
They might be because I think they first tried to provoke, so that provocation I think they successfully done that. Meaning, I feel that the film there has some meaning, but yes, some other part of that film just don't work for me either. The filmmaker find any meaning, I cannot say for him. Love on Trees, sorry.
Well, at the very least, he found, he was paid for
Yep.
making this movie. And I think that's wild that
Yep.
anyone was paid for making this.
All right.
Whether it be, let's say the crew,
Yep.
they ought to get paid because, well, maybe not the guy who was holding the boom mic, since the boom mic was visible in at least a dozen shots. Maybe
Yep.
he should get a pay cut. But certainly the
It
crew who got roped into filming this, they ought to get paid. But the
hold
person
on.
who wrote it and
Yeah.
who directed it,
Yep.
uncredited, of course, because that is one of the Dogma rules. The
Yep.
director must not be credited.
Yep.
And I can see why that might be a rule. If The Idiots is going to be one of the films of the movement, you wouldn't want your name attached to that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't.
Yep.
I would. I would argue that the people who made this film should have to be the ones who pay money. They shouldn't receive money. They should have to
Yep.
give money in order to make this shit.
All right.
Fuck this movie.
All right. Wow. Strong word. All right. To defend for the one thing that you just mentioned, I think the guy who handled
The
the boom
boom
mic,
mic.
he's deserved to get paid. It's the cameraman who who tried to include him in the shot who doesn't qualify to get paid.
Well, Von Trier was also the cinematographer for this
All
film, and
right.
in
So,
fact, I think that isn't it true that I've only seen this film from his
oh
filmography.
yeah. No, no, no.
It,
I think you saw the other one as well.
no, I
That's in
haven't
the
seen
dark.
Dancer in the Dark.
All
I haven't
right.
seen it.
Yeah.
I have it
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
downloaded,
Yeah.
and it's one of the, there was a little run I went on where I was watching movies from the year 2000. That was one of the
Yeah.
ones I intended to watch, but I didn't get around to it. Not because of a
Yeah.
fear of Von Trier, though I certainly have that now. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, The Idiots is I mean, to be honest, I'm certainly willing to give his films another chance. I doubt that this film is completely representative. I mean, I know he's
Yeah.
like supposed to be a tortured filmmaker, and that a lot of his films are like uh, they are sexual and psychological. So I'm
Yep.
sure that this film has something in common with the rest of his work.
Yep.
But I would watch another
All
movie
right. Yep.
of
Yep.
his.
Yep. That's so good
Um,
because this is the second film out of his so-called Golden Hat trilogy, and
right.
the Prick in the Wave or Dancer in the Dark is much more acclaimed than the Idiots. Like even now,
Yeah.
people always have mixed feeling about the Idiots, and even
Well, I
us.
wonder why.
Yeah. Well.
I didn't enjoy this. I didn't enjoy this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will
I guess
say,
so.
I was thinking about it after I watched the movie. This is my least favorite.
Out of all the film we watch.
Yeah, for out of the
Okay.
wh- what would it be? I guess 69 films that we've seen now. For the Triple Cross Cinema podcast,
Yep.
this has to be my least favorite.
Wow.
But I was thinking about that. I mean, at the moment that it was over, I was like, I don't.
Yep.
I regret having watched this. I didn't want to ever
Yep.
see this.
Yep.
But I was thinking to myself, the whole question of whether it's worse to make a bad movie or a boring movie. Have you ever heard
Yep.
people talk about that?
Yep.
Like it's better to make a bad movie. It's better to make something that's I don't know, ambitious or provocative or
Yep.
whatever. It's better to fail nobly than to just bore your audience.
Yep.
This film made me question whether that's true
All right. Yep.
because there have been films like, for example, Still Life, the Iranian film
Yep. Yep. Yep.
about the
Yep.
old
Yep.
man at the
You
train
you
station.
you exclude the woman there. There's a old couple there.
Right,
Yes. Yep.
that's true. Not just the man. He's the one who's employed by the company, but she's also there.
Yep.
That film, bored me to death.
Yep.
But I don't know. I would have to watch The Idiots and Still Life back to back to see whether it's better to make a bad movie or a boring movie.
All
Because
right.
this, I think, is a bad movie,
Yep.
and Still Life is a boring movie. But I think I might rather watch Still Life again than watch this film again.
Hmm. Interesting. Hmm. I don't even. All right. I think our opinion gonna differ a bit here because I certainly say this is a lesser von Trier. I didn't find it that bad. Like when the move, then when the end credit roll, I still think that I got something out of it rather
What
than
did you get out of this movie?
um. Let's just say that like they try to like to break their social norm, so they try to like do these things just first to break free, to get out from their like normal social life circles, and yeah, and maybe bond together as a group as well, who like the group of people who have this who like my and it turned out in the end that like no one in the group have the gut to go all the way, and even like when they dare each other to do that with into the society where people know them, they couldn't do that. I think that there is just a stupid dare, like there's no reason for them to do that, but Karen, like the through our point of view, is the one who like who be able to go through that to the end. So yeah, well, I
Why does
just
it
think
matter that she like spits up a little bit of cake?
she yeah, because she tried to do that in front of her families, and
What has she proven?
well,
What has Von Trier proven?
uh to break
This the
free,
whole to break free. Were any of these characters free?
mm, in a way,
They were. They were all. They were all. At each other's throats.
yeah,
They were
yeah,
tormented
that's true.
by what's his face. I got to scroll down here.
Stoffer,
Yeah, Stoffer.
yeah.
For who, for example, puts Yeppe in the booth with those bikers or gang members or whatever, all the people with the tattoos, and he was clearly uncomfortable with it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that. Yep, 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 yep.
And
Yep,
he does it because he thinks he might learn something,
yep. And he
but
did
he
learn
doesn't.
anything.
That yeah, he didn't actually intend for Yeppe to learn anything.
Yep,
He just did it because he wanted to exercise power over him.
yep, yep.
The real
He.
so the one way that this film is structured is that it's not like a strictly, I mean, it is a narrative film, but there's a
Mm,
conceit within the film of like talking head segments, as though years after this group has been dissolved, a
mm,
filmmaker has tracked a bunch of these people down and interviewed them,
yep,
and those
yep,
interviews are inserted throughout the film.
yep, yep, yep.
And one of the early interview segments sees one of the people from, you know, one of the members of this group, I guess, this anti-bourgeois group,
Hmm.
um, speculate that the reason that this group was formed is because, and by Stolfer, who was the ringleader,
Hmm.
um, is because he did it for sexual gratification. He just
Hmm.
did it because he wanted to fuck.
Yeah, I think I
I don't know if
remember
you
that scene.
remember this, but yeah,
Yep,
one
yep,
I can't remember who it is who says it, whether it's a man or a woman or which individual it is exactly, but
yep.
they
It's very
say,
early in the scenes. Yeah,
yeah, it is one of the first little documentary style scenes in the movie, and I think
yep.
it's probably placed that way to give you the indication that it like plants that idea in your head very early on, so that you can evaluate whether that's true throughout the rest of the film. To me, it is.
Yep. Because he suggests a game bang, and for no apparent reason, and they
What do you mean no
actually
apparent no apparent reason? He does it because that's why he formed this group in the first place.
yeah, all right.
Because he wanted to use the pretext of mental disability
Yep.
in order to create an environment where people could not say no.
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
There's this scene where what's her maybe I think it's Suzanne, who doesn't want to join in the quote unquote festivities
Oh yeah, it
at
was
his
Suzanne.
birthday.
Oh, it's with
And
Karen, I think. Oh no,
no,
sorry,
Karen,
Suzanne. Suzanne.
they don't touch Karen. They leave her out of it,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
thankfully.
Yep.
But I
Yep.
think
Yep.
it's
Yep.
Suzanne. She's the blonde one
Yep.
who Karen says when she smiles, it's like the heavens have opened up and are shining down on them.
Yep. All right. Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
she doesn't want to be part of the gangbang,
Yep.
and so she's telling all of her compatriots, I guess, in this very very noble anti-bourgeois movement, no, I'm not going to play with you. Don't touch me. I'm not playing. I'm not part of this.
Hmm.
And of course, they don't listen. They continue to take off her clothes,
Yep.
and eventually they chase her
Yep.
out into the lawn.
Yep.
Um, and I mean, I can't remember. I guess I blocked it out whether like you see any actual intercourse happening. Oh,
No, 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 no,
box
no, not
office
not
for
with
this
her.
film seven
Not
thousand
with her.
dollars. Wow. Um, yeah, that's I guess good, but I think is there an implication that she ends up participating?
Yep, yep, yep. She said, yeah, all right, I do
Yeah.
it. Yep, she said that. Yep. So yes.
Yeah, that's horrible. Like
Yep.
I don't need to see that in a movie. I
Yep.
People having a gangbang while pretending to be mentally handicapped and using that as a way to rope women into it, so that eventually they have to break down and quote unquote consent.
Yep. Yep. How about the scenes when they actually meet the real retarded people, and they feel uneasy about that? I think it's the fur as well who get really ticked off by that, by
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sentimental
sentimentality.
sentiments, yeah, of
Yeah,
other members.
yeah, but can't I mean I think it's pretty obvious that the reason he gets so enraged um, by that scene is he's like pushing away any sense of guilt or shame
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because he's the ringleader in all this, and he recognizes, of course, that what he's doing is wrong on some level
yeah.
because he's the leader of this very pretentious group of people who
I agree.
claim, like, oh, modern life is so bourgeois, or we just want to get away from all that and like, uh, be idiots, like we
Hmm.
want to live the way that people are supposed to live and not have to get in our cars and go to work every day.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
I mean, Karen brings up several times, like when she first joins this group, because she feels like she has no other place to go in the wake of what's happened to her child.
yeah,
Uh, she's like, "You're,
I
this is wrong. What you're doing is wrong." And of course, he weasels his way out of it every time, or like he ignores her or argues with her or whatever. But he knows that what they're doing is wrong, and the clearest way for that to come like penetrate his skull is during that scene when they're all the members of this group are, you know, when
Yep.
they're interacting and having a good time
Mm.
with the people with legitimate disabilities.
Yep.
Uh, and so, that's why he hates the quote unquote sentimentality, is because he feels some sort of sentiment inside himself as well. And if he can't allow that to exist because that means that what he's doing is disgusting.
Yep. Yep. I think his character take a lot in this movie. Like his presence was like doing much of the movie, not to a good degree. So we see him speaking with his uncle. We see him trying to shoo away the potential buyers, and we see him talking to one of these the man from the uh,
The government, like the
from
local
the
government.
yeah, from the council, from the council, who want to uh do something with the house. He get
Yeah.
mad at that as well. I if there's one change in the ending that I would like to see, is that when they do uh the pointing things. I wish that point into him, so he have to do that to the to his family, and see through, because I think the film just lets his character get away a bit too easily.
Yeah, but how would the film have you know how would it have survived
Yep.
if
With
he had been forced to do that? Because if you think about it, like other
Yep.
characters being like uh, being exposed as hypocrites
Yep.
for not carrying out this idea of being idiots in public in like
Yep.
quote unquote polite society. I'm saying quote
Yep. Yep.
unquote
Yep.
a lot today. Uh, Other
Yep.
characters being exposed as hypocrites is fine, because in that
Yep.
way the film is revealing that none of these people were really committed to the cause. But there's no way Von Trier would have written Stolfer into that same situation, because if he does that, Stolfer is the one who instigated this whole, like, came up with this whole idea or put it into
Yep.
practice, because there's a scene where
Yep.
Yeppe says it was my
Yep.
idea, but Stolfer was the one who wanted to do something about it.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
if
Yep.
Stolfer is put into that position and he can't do it, then that would essentially like put a black mark over the whole film. Like, oh, even the guy who was written to be the one who is fully behind this idea, even he can't do it. If
Yep.
that were to happen, then what's the point of the whole fucking film?
Yeah.
That
Well,
would be that would be like Von Trier saying, "Oh yeah, I shouldn't have made this movie." The
yeah.
whole concept of it is messed up, because not even the guy who I wrote as the ringleader can do it. There's
Yeah.
no there's like there's no justification for this.
I think the thing is, La von Trier also think that the idea uh, of this group is has been corrupted, in a way that it worked for a while, and then it's all go to shit, and they
Yeah,
have to be this bad because of that.
yeah, I mean, I feel that in the film, but I don't believe that.
Yep.
There was never any noble intention. I don't think. I think that he's a cult leader. Stoffer is
Who?
essentially a cult leader.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant von Trier. In a way, maybe. Yes. Yep.
Oh,
I agree
like the
with you.
cult
Yep.
of Dogma 95.
The core. Yeah. Whatever. See, he wanted to make, or he wanted to create. Yep. I agree with you on that. So the idea, I think this group function is like a cult group anyway, with Karen, like joining the joining group, the group have different, like perspective, and I think because he was looking for something other than this guy, so actually she experienced that the passing also they say a bit differently as well, and maybe because of that she be able to go through the whole thing later on, while other members of the group, like cannot put themselves to do that.
Well, it's because I think the reason she's able to do it is because she has nothing to lose. She's
That's true.
already lost her
Yep.
child, and she
Yep.
has no further attachment to her family.
And oh, the one detail they put on later on that make me laugh is that I think they mentioned that the Karen family just mentioned that she disappeared for 2 weeks, so she just spent the whole 2 freaking week to this group. So the whole thing that we see is just in the span of 2 weeks.
Yep.
Damn.
I'm
And
yeah, I can I
she
can I can believe that. I mean, I didn't get a sense that time was really passing slowly or rapidly
yeah.
either
But
way.
But the thing is, like she had already declared that like all the members of the family, she of that group, she have like a special connection, and she like she never been so close to anyone. Na na na. For 2 weeks,
Yeah.
someone you just spend for 2 weeks. All right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that she was totally in her right mind.
Yep. Yep.
Well, maybe that's not the right way to phrase it, but for certainly she was traumatized by having lost her
Yep.
baby.
Yep.
Um, and so as a result, she was extremely like emotionally vulnerable, and she allowed herself to be taken along by a man that she thought was mentally handicapped.
Yep. Yep. He didn't give her any choice. Actually, she just, like gonna grab her hands and wouldn't let go. And
Yeah, and
looking
I
at her,
wonder how many like if he used that technique on other women in order to lure them back to the house and
Yep.
you know
Yep.
do whatever he wanted with them.
Yep.
We don't see that the way that the group we don't see the way the group is formed.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep. Yep.
I wonder how all these people individually got roped into this.
Yep.
I would imagine that Stolfer used whatever means were at his disposal to bring some of these women in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about how many of them are like willing participants in the gangbang for his birthday.
Yeah. There was one who really active about that.
Yeah,
And,
the blonde woman. Well,
and
I mean, it is a Danish film, so there are going to be a lot of blonde women and blonde people in general.
yep.
But yeah, I know who you're talking about. The woman with like a really deep tan
Yep.
that appeared to be
Short
artificial.
hair, right? Short hair, right?
I can't remember. I think maybe her name was Nana.
Yeah, that ring a bell. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty. But there's a few men in the group as well.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine that it would be very enticing for them
All right, and we have
because
we
there are
have
so many women.
we have a scene where one of the main members, Axel, he he go back to the to his normal world, and he does a really shit job in that as well. Come up
Yeah.
with a slogan, and uh he gets smacked down by his boss. Oh my
Yeah.
god,
But
the
it
whole
turns
scene.
out that the client that they're working for is actually Katrine.
I think Katrina just penetrate over there. So uh she just pretend herself to be, like uh one of these
Idiots.
no, this lady, and people bought it.
How would that
So
work though? Because in the meeting where they're trying to pitch his copy,
yep,
Child's Food,
yep, yep, yep,
um, she's the one who who like approves or disapproves of it. Everyone in the meeting is looking to her for her reaction
yep,
and whether
yep,
they're going to go forward with the ad campaign.
yep.
How
I
could
have
how could that be if she's just
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
pretending.
Have no idea. So I think she might be the real things. And
Yeah.
well,
Not only that, she is the real thing, and she quote unquote. Well, God, I gotta stop saying quote unquote. She spazzes. They refer
yep.
to acting like an idiot as spassing
Yep.
in this movie. She does it at
Yep.
her, you know, place of business, at her work. So she
Yep.
has already fulfilled the conditions of Stouffer's challenge.
Yep. 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 She actually pretty good. She the best. She's the best out of the group. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened to her afterwards.
she's the most committed. Is she there in the scene where they spin that bottle and it lands on the art teacher? Well,
Y-
first it lands on Axel, and he's like, "Nope, can't do this. I'm out." And then it lands
Yep.
on the art teacher, and he can't do it because he's got all those old ladies
Yep.
in the audience. There's another scene where Stuffer is present, and he's like, uh, making a
Yep.
whole bunch of snide remarks, and because he just
Yep.
sees it as so bourgeois.
Yep. 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 Oh my God, Stuffers. What an asshole.
Yeah, there. I wonder about the scene where he like has a psychotic break and starts running down the street naked after
Yep.
the civil
Shooing
servant,
away.
like the council
Yep.
member,
Yep. Yep.
calling him a
Yep. Yep.
fascist and stuff.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Is he actually like is he
I
somewhere
think
on
he's
a spectrum, or is he something of an idiot himself?
no, I think he just loses his mind. He have like a severe hatred to the middle class or the one who have the authority in the society. So he just had I think he just hated the hierarchy or the and then he just that the way for him to just uh express uh his himself. So I just think that it was just one of these moments where he take it to the extreme.
Hmm. Well,
Not for good reason. Not for good reason.
I see.
So
Well,
the idiots. It
yeah.
actually, like it turned out way different than I was, first expected. So first I expect it to be, like about a group of people who actually, like mentally handicapped. And then turn out to be, like it's all an act. So yep,
I didn't know anything about it going in, same as the other two movies,
yep.
and it wasn't really a pleasant surprise when I realized
Yeah,
um, that because at first because I went in blind, the dinner scene
yep,
was I mean, I was already put off by the dinner scene even before there's the shot in the car where I think it was Suzanne who was acting as the handler,
yep,
or maybe it
yep,
was,
yep, yep,
yeah. And when Stoffer and maybe Henrik break character, and she's
yep,
they're all laughing about it, and Karen is there in the back seat. Even
yep, yep, yep,
before
yep,
that point, I when I still thought that Stoffer was had a disability,
yep,
um, I was already like, I don't like this
yep,
because the title of the film is The Idiots.
yep,
So as soon as I saw a scene where there was a disabled person being referred to as an idiot, I was like,
yep,
I don't
yep,
know. But then it
yep.
got way, way worse.
Yep. So both film that we just thought the celebration and the idiots was playing at Cannes 1998. They both playing at the same film festivals. I think the celebration was winning like top prize.
So let me ask you a question, because you are the con expert. In fact, you've attended the festival
All right. Yep.
multiple times.
Yep.
Um, Before films are chosen to compete for particular categories,
Hmm.
do, is there a board of people that watch them,
Yep. So
watch the
then,
movies?
yeah. So there's like a panels. who from the film festival themselves. So there's like a group of people who gonna watch these films and recommend them, or they doing something behind the scenes, and it's get up to the to the like I think there's like not a very big team, like around 10 people. They watch this film and they decide which film get in, which film get out, so they have to watch the film first.
Okay.
There's some rare cases where a film is not completed before the deadline, but they promise that complete the films before the film festival. So they got like a special reserve place in the main competition. But it's a very rare cases. Like I think like from what I remember is In the Mood for Love was one of these guys.
Hmm.
So because of like the reputation of the of Wong Kar-wai, that they decided to like let the film play in the main competition without watching the whole films, the entire film beforehand.
Well, since that film is not arranged chronologically, it might have been a little easier for him to complete the film.
Yeah, well, he took like three
Like,
years to complete that films, and
I mean, if
he
for example he showed just like a partial version
yep,
to
and
whatever this board is who decides what films are in, what films are out, they'd be
yep,
like, "Oh, it's not finished," and he goes, "Yeah, but all the events are going to take place out of order anyway, so we'll just finish shooting,
yep,
and I'll edit it really fast and just put different scenes in different places. Whatever,
yep,
it'll
and
work. Don't worry."
and in many cases as well, the films that they watched beforehand wasn't finished yet. So some of these special effect or like final touching wasn't there.
Right.
I remember like I think Emily, the film, the French film from
Yeah.
2001. That it
Yep.
was rejected because at the time by Cannes, because at the time they was screened for Cannes, it doesn't have any score,
Hmm.
any music at all, and they just say is it too boring. They rejected it. So well, yep,
Oh, but they allowed the idiots in.
they allowed the scene. So
Yeah. So that was
Laboratories,
that was the
and
reason for my question. Essentially, was like, did they see that? I mean, for this film, this being a Dogma film,
yep,
uh, they must have seen the whole thing. It's not as though there's any like post processing that has to happen.
yep.
So
Uh-huh.
they saw the whole thing and they were like, "Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, baby, this is
This
it."
I think they was like this gonna make people talking, and maybe that's not a bad thing at all. So they put that into the main competition. Because I before this film, I think I remember like few years back, they got kids. Like a film that really highly divisive films will get into the main competition again as well.
Hmm.
So
Well,
well, I think
all
we
right.
can get to the next film then, the last one. Let's be done with the
Okay.
idiots and go to Mifune, the last song, where this one dealing with the actual mentally handicapped people or person.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I liked his performance. Um, Jesper Asholt.
Yep, yep,
I liked his performance much more than anybody from the Idiots.
yep, yep.
That's, I mean, coming off a discussion of the Idiots, I think that's probably the best. That's the best
Oh,
comparison I can make, or the most flattering thing I can say is that
yeah.
God. I
Yeah,
wish the
this,
film kind of forgot about Rud was his character. Kind of forgot about him during the third act when it became a lot more about whether Leva was going to stay or go.
yep,
And
yep.
I really like I kind of regret that. Not that it's my movie and it's something that I can actually regret,
Hmm.
but I was kind of saddened by that. That it became a lot more about Kristen and Leva, and Rud was kind of sidelined.
Yeah. Yeah. The film. Let's start with how it starts. It starts with the wedding of Kristen, and
Yep.
I was thinking to myself, my God, is it like another celebration over there?
What do you mean?
Uh,
Like the movie is going to be like the celebration?
yep, because they start with the wedding, they start with a celebration itself.
Yep.
Thank God it isn't the case because like after 5-10 minutes, and I think this scene that actually uh pretty good now that like I'm looking back to it because it had the wedding, and then it had like the one of the most comical sex scene in the whole like the whole 3 feet that we watch.
Yeah, there is a
Because
sex scene, at least one, in all three of these movies.
yeah, because we just see how like out of sync Kristen and his wife. I have to search for his wife. Is that Claire?
Yeah.
uh yeah, how out of sync they were.
Right.
And then the next morning he just have a photo, and then like the entire his background that like he come from nowhere, suddenly has a background. My father is dying, my father died, and he has to come back to see the house. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the setup.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
kind of a kind of a strange one.
Yeah.
I mean, all three of these films, the fact that the camera is handheld, it does give them a very different feeling
Sure.
from what you might expect from like when you hear the word movie.
Yeah.
Uh, so the strangeness of some aspects of this film, for example, the setting that it eventually returns to when Kristen goes home,
Yeah.
um, is definitely amplified, I think, by the fact that it's being captured with a handheld camera, and the camera frequently the camera will be like tilted slightly to the left or right,
Yeah.
um, which kind of gives the whole thing an off kilter feeling. And I mean, the
Yeah.
farm itself is off kilter. Like, there's a lot of patches of it that seem overgrown, not very well tended to, probably because the father
Hmm.
was declining as he got older.
Yeah.
The only animals they have left on the farm are a few
Chickens.
chickens and a
Yeah.
cat with no name,
Yep. 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 Yep.
because it doesn't respond to its name anyway. So why even give it a name? As Rud explains,
Yep.
it just it feels very feels very odd
Yeah.
as the film is establishing the setting that it's going to use for the rest of its runtime, or the bulk of it at
Yeah.
least.
And then they
But I
have.
think Rud's performance and the tension between him and Kristen,
Yeah.
where at some places there's camaraderie and at some places there's like resentment and anger,
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of carries the film along, at least in my
I
mind. Like
Yeah.
it gets
I
you settled into it.
That's true. I would say that Kristen, like at first he just kind of put his background off, like he doesn't want to mention anything about Ruth, because like he said, there's nothing to say about his brother at all. He's just a mentally handicapped disability people and person, sorry. And when he actually meet Rod, though, we see that he know how to handle Rod. Like he have a genuine like understanding of his brothers, and even Rod to Kristen as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's familiar with his brother and with his triggers, I guess, and the things that he likes and that he doesn't like.
Yep.
For example, he knows he goes into the shower scene when he has to like spray him down
Yep.
before Leva arrives. He's wearing boots, isn't he?
I think so. All
Like
right, I
he
cannot
knows
recall
going
that. Yep.
into it that it's going to be a battle.
Yep. Yep.
It's
Yep.
going to
Yep.
be
Yep.
difficult to get him hosed down, and he knows that his brother likes, uh, you know, Mifune. He likes samurai.
Yep.
samurai. Um, in fact, in I don't know, in your subtitles, was there a scene where Rud's pronunciation of the word samurai was intentionally misspelled, like
Yep.
Samawar?
Yep.
Yeah,
Have that as well.
yeah. So he likes Toshiro Mifune.
Yep.
There's even a scene. This was one of my favorite like discoveries, I guess, upon finishing the film and thinking back on it. The
Yep.
morning after that, like the farcical sex scene
Uh-huh.
on his honeymoon night, on Kristen's honeymoon night. The
Yep.
morning after, he goes up on the roof, I guess, of their hotel or wherever they're staying, and
And he do that.
he does the samurai moves, like he
Yep.
does some of the vocalizations, I guess.
Yep.
Uh, so that mean thinking back on it, you realize that he's carried that I don't know, that habit or that part of his relationship with his brother
Hmm. Hmm.
into his quote unquote norm. Oh my god, I just said it. Into his normal life, like the life that he's created by running away from his hometown.
Yep.
So it's he hasn't like left that part of himself or that part of his family or that memory behind entirely because he has integrated it into I don't know, like how he gets up in the morning, part of his
Yep.
ritual perhaps.
Yep. And it's
Um,
funny though that already see one of Mifune's performance in this podcast before as well as in Rashomon the Bandit,
right.
and now we just see like how his legion has lived on, taking another shape through the
Yeah.
eyes
Well,
of this brothers. So it's just interesting to you know to see the
yeah, the fact that the
inspiration.
film is named for him is
Yep. Yep. Yep.
you think you could study this film and perhaps come up with a theory as to why it's called Mifune or Mifune Sitsude Sang, Mifune's
Last
last
song.
song.
Yep.
Um, but there's not going to be a definitive answer, I don't think, unless
Hmm.
perhaps the uncredited director um, provides one, like word of God outside the text of the film.
Yep. 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 Yep.
I mean, I guess it's appropriate because it does represent the connection that Kristen has with Rud and the understanding that he has about how to how to relate to his brother, how to
Yep.
please him because that's like his favorite thing. Oh
Yep.
man, Jesper Assholt's or Jesper Assholt's performance during the scene when he's uh, I guess he's just hosed him down, right?
Yeah.
Because
Which
Leva
one?
is coming, and to get him to calm down after the shower,
Oh, right.
he
Right. Right. Yep. 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 Yep.
he
Yep.
says Mifune is coming. Don't you want to see
Yep.
Mifune?
Yep. 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 Yep.
Um, so his performance when he's dressed in nothing but a towel and he's got his arms kind of clutched to his chest, and you see his eyes are like real wide and bugging out because he's kind of freaked out. But then when he hears his brother pretending to be Toshiro Mifune in the cellar, just the way he like looks out of the corner of his eyes and like a little smile starts to creep into the corners
Yep.
of his mouth is really incredible.
Yep. He
Um,
curious as well, and
yeah, like there's also a little bit of fear in his
yep.
performance too, because Mifune his performances were wild.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, he's curious. He's excited. He's a little bit fearful. It's just I thought that was a great scene, and then Leva has to spoil it by arriving. Boo!
Yep. And then we have another side of the story. That Liva, she's a prostitute, and she having trouble with her current state because I think it's the principal, right? Who make a mess with her brother, so she take revenge, and then
Right.
she got a stalker who like give a creepy voice message, that she want to run away from. So that's why she took up the ad where Kristen just asking for a
A housekeeper.
a housekeeper, and she come there, and so I think the two story then connect to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, when her character is first introduced, it's out of nowhere essentially, and it does take a
Yep,
while for the film to
yep.
connect the two. But I ended up liking that decision in the end,
Hmm.
because by not providing that link between the two characters at first, it I don't know, it adds to the difficulty that they would have in getting to know one another. Because if you think about it, somebody
Mm.
answering um, an ad like this in the paper, not knowing
Yep,
anything about what they were walking into, they would
yep,
feel like completely, I don't know, isolated or vulnerable,
yep,
unsure. So the way she's introduced, where she has nothing to do with Creston, and the film doesn't even
yep,
provide any link between the two characters, like narratively or on a from a directorial perspective, makes sense.
yep,
You know,
yep, yep,
because
yep,
as she's walking up to that house, she has no idea what she's walking into.
yep, yep. True. And I think her performance for this film is actually pretty good as well. Uh, she she does a lot of things. She tried to came down road. She tried to flirt with Kristen. I think not at first, but like it's come eventually. And she bring her brothers to the farm as well.
Right. Yeah, she does. She becomes more and more prominent as the film goes on, until
Hmm.
eventually the film kind of becomes about her, like whether she's, as I alluded to earlier, whether she's going to stay or go,
Yep, yep, yep,
because she leaves the house at one point.
yep.
Um,
Oh, I
so
like that scene by the way. I like like the whole thing where she get used to the house, and like when she and Kristen get together, doesn't really like interested me much. But when like the conflict start, and when she because of Kristen and because of his of her brothers, I like that. I like that. I think they also have a remark about that. Like she was. She We have like three idiots in the house or something like that, and joke. He just say like no, Ruth isn't an idiot. Remember that
right,
conversation? And
yeah,
yeah, and then
I
leave
thought that, speaking of sentimentality that
yep,
Stolfer hated so much
yep,
in The
yep, yep,
Idiots, I
yep,
thought that line was extremely sentimental.
yep. I agree with that.
I
And
didn't
that's
totally it didn't totally work for me.
didn't, does it?
No, because I mean this kid is a demon.
Yep. Go on, go on,
Like
go on.
he's not going to cave in so easily. Say something kind about somebody, uh,
Yep,
you know, after just
yep,
however long he was staying at the
yep,
farm. I don't know. I
yep.
just didn't like that line.
uh I can see that. Yep.
I mean, it's nice.
I
It's a nice thing that he said. It's a nice line that was written for him, but I just didn't buy it.
Yep. Uh, what I like though is that how she cope with that, because like she be heartbroken by like by her brothers, by all the men that close to her. So she tried to have like one night stand with the three strangers in the bar, and she immediately regretted that action as well. So it just show us like how vulnerable she is at that point.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I can't. I think that, man, I don't know who wrote the. Oh, the director wrote it
I
along
think
with
it's
a writing
yep.
partner. Um,
Hmm.
this is something I could never write.
All right.
Like the attitude that sex workers have towards like intimate relationships with people.
Hmm.
Like the scene where she goes off and decides to I don't know, attract the. I
Yep.
assume that, like she sits at the bar, she gets the bartender's attention, and she sends a drink over to the three men who are sitting at their table and making a whole bunch of noise. Um, is the implication that she just wanted to invite them up to her room free, like no payment necessary? I didn't know if she was like offering her services because we don't
Yep.
hear what the bartender says as he takes the drink over. I thought perhaps the intention was that she was like falling back into her old ways in the wake of
Hmm.
her like fling,
That
her encounter with
that
Kristen.
yeah, that is possible as well. But I think the point is that she tried to use sexuals as sex at the as a way to for her to escape. She tried to do that to yeah fall back to her old life just to escape what she been experienced
Yeah,
with all the heartbreak, and it didn't work.
right. Yeah, I couldn't write something like that. Like I don't feel like I have the right,
Mm,
to make decisions about even what a fictional character with that sort of background might do in that
yeah,
situation. It just feels so. I don't feel comfortable
yeah,
determining whether that was like a good writing decision or not, or whether someone might really do that in that circumstance. I
yeah.
feel like it's not really for me to
I think it
say.
was a brave choice, and this is like one of these I say like high point in for me in these films.
Hmm. Okay. Uh. All right.
Not sure how I feel about Kristen because he's likable at some point. He is very unlikable at other points. Uh, the ways the way he handles or the way he treated Levi wasn't that good, and that's one of the reasons why I don't think they like they should end up together. But well, that's how the script like basically written in for them to be together.
Yeah. Well, the when the film becomes all about their relationship towards the end,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I guess that's the direction that it was headed in. And
Mm.
personally, I think that's regrettable. I mean, I would have liked more Rud, less Leva,
Mm.
because it
Mm.
ends up just being. I mean, I'm on Wikipedia here looking at the poster for Mifune, and you know how there's often like a quote from perhaps like a critic or a journalist or something on the
Yep.
poster, like five
Yep.
stars, best such and such film you'll ever see in such and such a year or time.
Yep. Yep.
The
Yep.
one here on this poster on Wikipedia says a dazzling postmodern screwball romance.
Yep.
I'm
I don't
just
see
reading
any
that and
screwball
thinking
here.
like, well, I don't see any romance here.
All right. For advertising, yeah, I don't see any screwball or romance. No, there's a bit of romance in the air, but I don't
I
think
mean,
it's
it's
forward.
screwball. It's definitely screwed up, given the development with the brother
Yeah.
and the identity of the, um, you know,
Yeah. I think
the
it just
pervert
fall
who's been
into
calling Leva and leaving those messages. That's just
yeah. I think it just
that's
fall into the same, like disturbing thing that the idiots and the celebration has led the pathway to. So
yeah. At least the celebration, though, you know, condemns the father. Like he is definitively the bad guy. He's the villain,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
can't have breakfast in this nice mansion with all the other people at
yeah.
the end. In this
Yeah.
movie, I mean, the kid. I'm assuming that the kid is young enough that she's serving as his guardian. Their parents don't seem to be in the picture,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's like societally speaking, it's the right thing to do for Leva to like forgive him, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because he's not old enough to take care of himself. So somebody has to continue taking care of him, and I guess it's like the right thing to do for that to be her, and not, I don't know, just abandon him and leave him to the state to take
Yep.
care of. But if that kid is 18 years old and he does that to me, he's out. You know, you're
Yep.
out. Like,
Yep.
it's been nice knowing you. You are now iced out. I'm gonna change my name, change my number. I'm moving to like my own private island, and you're not invited.
Yep. 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 Well, I
So I
think
mean,
he did.
she's like a saint, for
Yep.
being so, I don't know, understanding, I guess, and
I
giving him
think
a little
all right.
hug.
Just like shed some light a bit, like how he have that motivation to do that. I think it's more because of his complex of uh his sister who like who being a prostitute, and I I think he feel very conflicted whenever she have sex with like other men, because we see that when she have sex with Kristen, we have a shot of him, like
He can
feeling a
hear.
bit yeah, he can hear that. I think he feel a bit disturbed as well. Not to the level of, you know, uh, not to an extreme, but we can see that he's not happy about that. So,
Yeah. Well,
but,
disturbed is the right word for it because the kid is disturbed just in general. I mean, he gets
yep,
kicked out of that school,
yep, yep,
um,
yep,
and he has to come live on a farm where he almost allows a mentally disabled man to drown,
yep. He saved
and only,
him.
yeah, he saves it like at the last second.
Yep, yep,
Uh,
yep,
and
yep,
he's obviously disturbed for having left those voice messages. I
yeah.
just, if there's anything that I like about Leva's character, is that it's that she didn't, like, you know just push her brother into the lake the same way that he pushed Rud into the lake.
Yep.
She just,
Alrighty.
I don't know. Yeah, that was
Yep.
just, what's the deal? Like, what's the deal with these Dogma films, and one of them being about like incestuous rape, one of them being about pretend mentally handicapped gangbangs,
Yep.
and one of them being about a brother who leaves sexually explicit messages on his sister's answering machine. What is going on with these
Yep.
movies? Was there some sort of understanding, unspoken understanding between Danish directors that, oh, now we've got this movement going on, and now we can make the films that we want to make? What do they do with that ability? They make films like
Mm,
this. What's
I don't know. I think they did try more to be provoke us than like have something really to say, especially in the case of the idiots. For the celebration, I think it's inspired by a radio talk, uh, where uh, one of the person who say in the radio telling about his own experience as a like, as a victim of a domestic like sexual abuse violence, but it turned out later on to be a hoax. I think I just read that
Oh,
somewhere, so that's why I
huh.
want to share that with you. So it was inspired by quote unquote true story. For
Hey,
Mifune, I
that's my
think it
line.
just for Mifune, I think it just like just say that to make more conflict. So it just kind of like right into the to the story.
Yeah. I kind of like the fact that Mifune is like bringing in so many weird hang-ups and complexes,
Hmm.
um, from
Hmm.
its characters, and is kind of throwing them all into a pot and making a stew out of it.
Yep, 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 yep,
And isn't like interested in resolving it really easily. It's allowed to be a bit
yep.
messy. I kind of like that approach, but there's also there's parts of the film that I just find really distasteful.
yeah,
and I don't think that their inclusion is because as you said, it's directors are trying to be provocative, I guess, and less pointed in their messaging. You know, it's more like, oh, look at this. Did you ever think about this? That's pretty weird, right? That's kind of messed up.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I mean, I don't hate it. It's all right.
yeah.
It's an interesting
It
film.
yeah. I think compared to the other two, it certainly what we call toothless. It's not uh as shocking as the other two, and for me the story itself is it just so as well. So like I enjoy it while I watch it, but it's not something that I gonna remember long afterward. Alrighty, I think we can make a stop for the postcard.
And as Mario said, this is the last Triple Cross Cinema episode of the year, and we probably won't be back until early February.
Yep, 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 yep,
So until then, Merry Christmas if you celebrate it, and if
yep.
not, Happy
Enjoy.
Kwanzaa, Happy
Yep,
Hanukkah, Happy Holidays.
yep, and enjoy this Dogme 95 film yourself. Maybe you enjoy
Don't
it more than
don't
us.
do that. You don't have to put yourself through that. Just enjoy
Well,
December and January in peace.
isn't our job is to recommend film for the audience, or we just
Yeah, and I don't recommend these movies except the Celebration. Celebration's pretty good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. True. I agree. I agree with Whooper on that. All
All right, well,
right.
we'll